Hey everyone, and welcome back to Talk in English. So glad you could join us today.
Absolutely, Sophia. It's always great to be here. And to all our listeners, whether you're new or a familiar face, we're really happy to have you tune in.
Yeah, we always love connecting with you all. And Daniel, sometimes we get so caught up in work or daily routines, we forget to, just do things for fun.
That's so true, Sophia. It's easy to fall into that trap. But finding time for what genuinely makes us happy, outside of obligations, is super important. Which actually brings us to our topic for today.
Exactly. Today, we're diving into something I think everyone has or should have, hobbies. We're going to talk all about talking about hobbies.
It's a fantastic topic, isn't it? Because knowing how to share what you love doing, or even just asking others about their passions, is such a natural way to connect and make conversations so much more interesting.
It really is. And Daniel, just thinking about it, how often do conversations start with, "How was your weekend?" or "What have you been up to lately?"
Oh, all the time, Sophia. Those are classic small talk openers. You meet someone new, or even just catch up with an old friend, and those questions just naturally pop up.
Right? And sometimes, if you're like me, you might just say, "Oh, it was good, just relaxed," or "Not much, same old." But then the conversation kind of dies a little.
Exactly. It's like a conversational dead end. You want to keep it going, but you're not sure how to inject more life into it without oversharing or sounding like you're giving a presentation.
Totally. Like last week, I bumped into an old colleague I hadn't seen in ages, and after the initial "How are you?" I asked, "So, anything exciting happening?" And for a second, we both just stood there.
I know that feeling. It's like your brain goes blank, even if you just did something cool. You're searching for something interesting to say, but also something that's easy to share.
Yeah, and it got me thinking. A lot of those moments, whether it's at a party, a networking event, or even just waiting for coffee, could be so much richer if we had better ways to talk about what we actually do for fun, or, what truly makes us tick outside of work or chores.
Couldn't agree more. Because what do you do often leads straight to what's your job, but that's just one piece of the puzzle. What we do when we're not working, that's where the real personality often shines through, isn't it?
Absolutely, Daniel. That's exactly it. It's about showing more of who we are beyond our job titles or daily tasks. And that's precisely why our topic today, talking about hobbies, is so important.
Indeed, Sophia. It's not just about having a hobby. It's about being able to comfortably and naturally share that part of yourself, and also to genuinely ask about others' interests in a way that truly opens up a conversation.
Right. Because when you can talk about your hobbies, it's like you're unlocking a whole new level of connection. It's a fantastic icebreaker, isn't it? Instead of just talking about the weather, you can talk about something you're genuinely passionate about.
Exactly. Think about it. When you tell someone you love hiking, suddenly you might discover they also hike, or maybe they know a great trail, or they're curious about getting started. Boom, instant connection. It gives you common ground, or at least a bridge to learn something new about the other person.
Totally. And beyond just connecting, talking about hobbies is also a great way to show your personality. Are you an adventurous person who loves rock climbing? Or maybe you're more introverted and enjoy painting intricate miniatures. Your hobbies tell a story about you.
They absolutely do. And it's not just for social situations. Even for ourselves, understanding and being able to articulate why we enjoy certain activities helps us appreciate them more. It's a way to acknowledge the self-care, the stress relief, or the creative outlet that hobbies provide.
Yeah, it's like giving yourself permission to celebrate what makes you you. So today, we're not just going to list hobbies. We're going to explore how to talk about them in a way that's engaging, makes you sound natural, and helps you keep those conversations flowing.
We'll cover everything from how to kick off the conversation to describing what you do and why you love it, and even how to gracefully ask others about their passions without sounding like you're interviewing them. It's all about making those interactions truly enjoyable.
So, Daniel, we've talked about why it's great to discuss hobbies, but let's take a step back. What even is a hobby, really? Because sometimes people confuse it with, just watching TV or scrolling on your phone.
That's a great point, Sophia. It's an important distinction. I think of a hobby as an activity you do regularly, purely for enjoyment, outside of your main work or responsibilities. It's something you choose to do, not something you have to do. And crucially, it usually involves some level of engagement or active participation.
Yeah, I like that distinction. Active participation. Because while relaxing is important, just passively consuming something isn't quite the same as, say, actively learning to play the guitar or baking elaborate cakes. There's an element of personal investment, right?
Exactly. It's about engagement. And it doesn't have to be something super complex or requiring huge skill. It could be gardening, photography, collecting stamps, or even just going for long walks and listening to podcasts, as long as it brings you personal satisfaction and you're doing it.
Right. And why do we even need hobbies? I mean, life is already so busy with work, family, errands. Why add another thing to the plate, even if it's fun?
Well, for one, it's a fantastic antidote to stress. Our jobs often demand a lot from us mentally, and sometimes physically. Hobbies offer a completely different kind of mental space. It's a break, a reset button for your brain. You can switch off from the pressures of work and just immerse yourself in something else.
Oh, absolutely. Like for me, when I'm gardening, I totally forget about my inbox. It's just me, the soil, and the plants. It's pure mindfulness in a way.
Perfect example. And beyond stress relief, hobbies often give us a sense of accomplishment outside of our professional lives. You might not get a promotion for perfecting a new recipe, but there's immense personal satisfaction in creating something delicious or finishing that puzzle. It's a boost to your self-esteem.
That's true. It's a different kind of achievement. Plus, a lot of hobbies actually help us develop new skills or even rediscover old talents we didn't realize we had. Like maybe you start painting and realize you're actually pretty good at it.
Definitely. And let's not forget the social aspect, which we touched on. Many hobbies, like joining a book club, a hiking group, or a craft workshop, are brilliant ways to meet new people who share similar interests. It's a natural way to build community and friendships.
Yeah, it gives you an instant common topic. So it's not just about passing the time. It's about de-stressing, building confidence, learning, and connecting with others. Sounds pretty essential when you put it like that.
It really does. It's about enriching your life, Sophia, making it more balanced and fulfilling. And that's why we should all carve out that time.
So we've established that hobbies are super important for all those reasons. But what if someone's listening and thinking, okay, that sounds great, but I don't really have a hobby, or I don't know what my hobby should be? How do people actually find their hobbies, Daniel?
That's a super common question, Sophia. It's almost like there's pressure to have some cool, established hobby. But finding one is often a process of discovery and, honestly, a bit of experimentation. My first piece of advice would be, don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it. I like that. So instead of trying to find the perfect hobby, maybe just start somewhere.
Exactly. Think back to when you were a kid, or even earlier in your life. What did you genuinely enjoy doing? What made time fly by? Maybe you loved drawing, or building things, or exploring nature. Sometimes our childhood passions just get buried under adult responsibilities. Reconnecting with those can be a great starting point.
That's a lovely idea. Like, I used to love making friendship bracelets when I was little. Maybe I wouldn't do that now, but it points to an interest in crafting or creating with my hands.
Exactly. It's about identifying the type of activity you enjoy. Are you someone who loves being outdoors? Are you creative? Do you enjoy solving puzzles or learning new facts? These general inclinations can guide you. Another good strategy is to think about what you do when you're procrastinating, but in a productive way. Like maybe you're supposed to be working, but you find yourself looking up recipes or researching local hiking trails.
Oh, I know that feeling. So turning that
procrastination into a deliberate, enjoyable activity. That's smart. What about just trying new things?
Absolutely crucial. You won't know if you like something until you try it. Sign up for a beginner's class, pottery, cooking, even a dance workshop, or just pick up a cheap set of watercolors and mess around. The key is low commitment initially. You don't have to invest a lot of money or time up front.
Right, so you're not locked in if it's not a fit. I guess the fear of commitment often stops people. Like, what if I buy all the gear and then hate it?
Precisely. So borrow a friend's guitar for a week, or go to a free trial yoga class. Look for local community centers, libraries, or online groups that offer introductory sessions. Even YouTube tutorials can be a fantastic way to dip your toes into something new without any pressure.
And what if you try something and you just don't enjoy it? Is that a failure?
Not at all. That's part of the discovery process. Every no brings you closer to a yes. It teaches you more about what you don't like, which is just as valuable. The goal isn't to be good at everything, or even to stick with the first thing you try. The goal is to find what sparks joy for you.
That's really liberating to hear. So basically, reconnect with old joys. Pay attention to your natural leanings. And don't be afraid to try, fail, and move on. It's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly that. Think of it as an adventure. And who knows what amazing new parts of yourself you might discover along the way.
All right, so we've talked about what hobbies are and how to find them. Now let's get into the really practical stuff. How do we actually talk about our hobbies in a natural, engaging way?
Exactly. Because just saying, my hobby is, can sound a bit stiff, almost like you're giving a formal answer. We want to sound like we're just chatting with a friend.
Definitely. So let's start with some easy conversational ways to kick off the topic. Instead of my hobby is cooking, what are some more natural sounding options?
Good question. A super common and very natural one is I'm into, or I'm really into. For example, I'm really into photography these days, or I'm into hiking when I get the chance. It sounds very current and genuine.
Oh, I use I'm into all the time. It's so versatile. You can use it for music, movies, books, anything really. It shows enthusiasm without being over the top.
Right. Another great one is I enjoy, or I really enjoy. This is a bit more direct, but still very polite and pleasant. Like, I really enjoy gardening on the weekends, or I enjoy trying out new recipes. It's clear and positive.
I enjoy feels a bit more classic, but still perfectly fine for everyday chat. What about something a bit more casual? Maybe when you're talking about something that's your thing.
For something more casual and personal, you could say, my thing is. This works well for a hobby that's quite specific to you, or maybe a bit quirky. For instance, my thing is collecting vintage postcards, or my thing is solving really complicated jigsaw puzzles. It gives it a unique personal flavor.
My thing is solving complicated jigsaw puzzles. That really paints a picture. It implies it's something you're quite dedicated to, in a fun way.
Absolutely. And if you want to sound a little more active, you can always say, I've been doing a lot of, or lately I've been spending a lot of time. This highlights recent activity. Lately I've been spending a lot of time learning Spanish, or I've been doing a lot of cycling on the trails near my house.
That's great because it shows it's current. It's not just something you used to do. It opens the door for follow-up questions about your recent experiences.
Exactly. So to recap, instead of just my hobby is, try things like I'm into photography. I really enjoy gardening. My thing is collecting vintage postcards. Or lately I've been doing a lot of cycling. These all sound much more conversational and inviting.
Perfect. Those are fantastic starters. But once you've said what your hobby is, how do you keep the conversation going? What if someone asks, why do you like it? Or how often do you do it?
That's where we move into describing the frequency, intensity, and why you like it, which we can tackle next.
Okay, so we've got our opening lines down. Now, let's say someone asks, oh, that sounds interesting. How often do you do that? Or, are you really into it? How do we describe how much or how little we do something, Daniel?
Great point, Sophia. Frequency and intensity are key to painting a fuller picture. For something you do regularly, you can use phrases like, I usually, or I try to. For example, I usually go hiking every Saturday morning, or I try to get to my pottery class once a week. It shows consistency.
I try to is good because it also acknowledges that life happens, and it's okay if you miss a session sometimes. It's realistic.
Exactly. For something you do less often, or maybe just when you have time, you can say once in a while, or every now and then. Like, once in a while I'll dabble in some painting, just when I feel inspired. Or every now and then I'll pick up my old guitar.
That gives a nice casual vibe. And what if you're really, really into it? Like it's a huge part of your life?
Then you can definitely amp up the intensity. Phrases like, I'm quite passionate about it, or I'm really dedicated to it. For example, I'm quite passionate about learning Japanese. I spend an hour on it every single day. Or, I'm really dedicated to my running. I'm training for a marathon next year. This shows serious commitment.
Wow, training for a marathon definitely signals a high level of dedication. It's clear that's not just a casual interest.
Right. And then there's the opposite end of the spectrum. For something you do very casually, almost as a fleeting interest, you can say, I dabble in. For instance, I dabble in photography, mostly just with my phone. Or, I sometimes dabble in painting, but I'm definitely not an artist. It sounds humble and light.
Dabble in is perfect for those I tried it once or twice kind of hobbies, or something you do without much serious intent. It sets expectations really well.
It does, and if it's something you just started, you can say, I've just started, or I'm relatively new to. Like, I've just started learning to surf, so I'm still mostly falling off the board. Or, I'm relatively new to baking, but I'm enjoying experimenting. This manages expectations and opens up a chance for others to share tips.
That's smart. It makes you relatable and shows you're still in the learning phase. So we've got usually, try to, once in a while, passionate about, dabble in, and just started. That covers a good range of how committed we are to an activity.
Exactly. These phrases help you give a much clearer and more nuanced answer than just a simple yes or no about your hobby. It adds depth to the conversation.
All right, we've learned how to start talking about our hobbies and how to describe how often we do them. But the real magic happens when you explain why you love something, right? That's what makes it personal.
Absolutely, Sophia. That's where you connect on a deeper level. Instead of just stating what you do, you explain the feeling or the benefit. Simple phrases like, it helps me, or I love are perfect.
So, for example, I love painting because it helps me clear my mind. Or I enjoy hiking because I love the feeling of being out in nature. That sounds really natural.
Precisely. Or it's a great way to unwind. I enjoy the challenge. It allows me to be creative. Or I just find it really relaxing. These all give insight into your personal connection with the hobby.
Those are great for sharing our own passions, but conversations are two-way. How do we gently ask others about their hobbies without, making it feel like an interrogation?
Crucial point. You don't want to just fire off questions. After you share a bit about yourself, a simple, how about you? Or what about you? Is always good. Or you can get more specific, like, do you have any hobbies? Or what do you do for fun outside of work?
What do you do for fun is a nice open-ended one. And I guess if someone mentions something you can say, oh, I've always wanted to try that. Or that sounds really interesting.
Exactly. And to make all of this sound even more natural, remember those softeners and natural connectors we often talk about? Things like, kind of, I guess, honestly, and to be fair. They smooth out your speech and give you a moment to think.
Right. Like, I'm kind of into yoga, just for stretching. Or, honestly, I'm not really good at it yet, but I guess that's part of the fun.
Perfect. They make your English sound more authentic and less like you're reading from a script. So, when you're talking about hobbies, remember to explain why you like it,
Gently ask others about theirs and weave in those softeners.
This really gives us the tools to not just talk about hobbies, but to have a real back and forth conversation.
Definitely. And with these phrases, our listeners will be much better equipped for those small talk moments. Speaking of practice, that sounds like a perfect segue into our guided practice segment, doesn't it?
All right. Now that we've covered tons of useful phrases for talking about hobbies, it's time for our favorite part, guided practice. This is where you get to actively use what you've learned.
Exactly. Remember, the goal isn't perfection. It's about getting comfortable and making these phrases feel natural when you speak. We've designed a few exercises to help you do just that.
First up, let's practice some of those opening lines and descriptions. We'll say a phrase, and we want you to repeat it out loud. Don't be shy.
Ready? Here we go. I'm really into gardening these days.
I really enjoy cooking new recipes.
My thing is collecting vintage maps.
I usually go hiking on Saturdays.
I dabble in drawing, mostly just for fun.
It helps me relax after a long week.
Great job. Repeating those phrases really helps them stick. Now, let's try a fill-in-the-blank exercise. We'll give you a sentence, and you try to fill in the blank with a suitable hobby-related phrase.
Listen carefully and fill in the gap. Sophia, what do you do for fun? Daniel, oh, I really enjoy reading sci-fi novels.
Sophia, that sounds cool. How often? Daniel, well, every day I try to read for about an hour before bed.
Sophia, why do you like it? Daniel, because it helps me escape from reality for a bit.
Daniel, so what do you do? Any interesting hobbies you're pursuing?
Excellent work. Getting those words in there truly makes a difference. For our final practice, we want you to answer some open-ended questions. Try to use a mix of the phrases we've discussed today.
Take a moment to think, then answer out loud. What's one hobby you're currently into or enjoy?
How often do you do it, and what's one reason why you like it?
If you were to ask someone about their hobbies, how would you phrase that question naturally?
Fantastic effort, everyone. The key here is not to feel like you need to give a perfect, memorized answer. Just aim for clear, natural communication.
That's right. The more you practice, the more these phrases will just roll off your tongue. You're doing great.
So, Daniel, we've talked a lot about how to talk about hobbies, but I was thinking, are there any interesting cultural differences when it comes to hobbies or how people approach them?
That's a great thought, Sophia. Absolutely. For instance, in some cultures, the idea of a hobby might be very community-oriented, like traditional crafts or group sports, where the social aspect is paramount. In others, it might be more about individual pursuit or self-improvement.
Oh, that makes sense. Like maybe in some places it's more common for hobbies to be inherited skills from family rather than something you discover completely on your own.
Exactly. And sometimes there's a different level of openness about sharing certain hobbies. Some people might be a bit shy about a very niche or geeky hobby, even if they love it. But increasingly, the internet has really helped people find their tribes for any interest, no matter how unusual.
That's so true. It's like no matter what your hobby is, there's probably an online community for it now. It normalizes all sorts of passions.
Definitely. And it shows that ultimately the joy of a hobby is universal. It's about finding that personal spark, no matter where you are or what your background is. It's a wonderful human thing to do.
Wow, we've covered so much about talking about hobbies today. Daniel, could you give us a quick recap of the key takeaways for our listeners?
Absolutely, Sophia. So, first off, remember that talking about your hobbies is a fantastic way to connect with people and show more of your personality beyond just work.
And don't be afraid to try new things to find a hobby. It's all about discovery and enjoying the process, not just the outcome.
Right. And when you're talking about them, avoid sounding stiff. Instead of, my hobby is, try natural phrases like, I'm into, I really enjoy, or my thing is.
And remember to explain why you like it, using phrases like, it helps me relax, or I love the challenge. That makes your story much more engaging.
And don't forget those softeners like kind of, or I guess, to make your speech sound more natural. And always, always ask others about their hobbies to keep the conversation flowing.
It's all about making those interactions truly enjoyable and authentic. And that brings us to the end of another fantastic episode of Talkin' English. I feel like I've got a whole new toolkit for discussing my passions now.
Me too, Sophia, and I hope all our listeners feel the same way. The goal is to feel more confident and natural when those "what do you do for fun" questions come up.
Absolutely. And we'd love to hear from all of you. For this week's question, we want you to share what's one hobby you're really passionate about right now, and what's one reason why you love it so much.
Yeah, tell us in the comments section below. Or if you're feeling adventurous, introduce yourself and one of your hobbies using some of the phrases we learned today. We'd love to read them.
We truly appreciate you tuning in and practicing English with us. Your engagement makes this whole journey so much more rewarding.
It really does. So thank you for listening, for learning, and for being a part of our community. Don't forget to subscribe to Talk in English if you haven't already, so you don't miss our next episode.
Until next time, keep exploring those hobbies, keep practicing, and keep those conversations going.
Take care, everyone. Bye for now.